In physics, we will study vector and scalar quantities. These are two type of quantities we study in physics: vector and scalar quantity. Vector quantities are those quantities which are represented by magnitude and direction, plus direction. When we represent any quantity by magnitude and direction, it is known as vector quantity. Okay. Secondly, scalar quantities. Scalar quantities are those quantities which are represented by only magnitude. Direction is not involved. Direction is not involved. When we break the vector quantities further, we can define these are the quantities which consist number, unit and direction. Now these are the vector quantities. In magnitude, two things are involved in magnitude: number and unit. In magnitude, two things are involved: number and unit. When we say about number and unit, the sum of number and unit, it is magnitude, and we add direction in it, then this whole is called vector. Vector quantities are those quantities which are defined by magnitude and direction, or we can say vector quantities we can define by number, unit and direction. Okay. Now I am writing some example of vectors. What are the examples of vector? Just like speed, just like velocity, displacement, force, momentum, torque. Now these are the vector quantities. These quantities are represented by magnitude and direction. Okay. When we talk about vector quantity, it's mean quantities which are representing by magnitude and direction, or sum of the magnitude and direction. When we break magnitude and we get number and unit, it's mean vector quantity consists number, unit and direction. Okay. Some examples of vector quantities: velocity, displacement, force, momentum and torque. These are the example of vector quantity. Now I am talking about scalar quantities. Scalar quantities are those quantities represented by magnitude only. Direction is not involved in it. These quantities are represented by magnitude. Magnitude means number and unit. Okay. Number and unit, just like mass, temperature, distance, speed. Now these are the example of the scalar quantities. Okay student, now it is clear to you what are the vector quantities and what are the scalar quantities. Vector quantities are those quantities which are represented by magnitude and direction. Example of the vector: velocity, displacement, force, momentum, torque. These all quantities involve magnitude and direction. Now secondly, I talk about scalar. Scalar mean quantities which only represented by magnitude. Magnitude mean number and unit. Okay. Now the example of these quantities: mass, temperature, distance and speed. When we talk about velocity, direction is required. When we talk about force, direction is required. Force in the direction of north, force in upward direction, force in horizontal direction, force in vertical direction. It means direction is required for vector quantities like force, like velocity, like acceleration, like momentum. But in scalar quantity there is no need of direction. Only we talk about the magnitude, just like mass. If we go to any shop and we want to take anything just like sugar, flour, or anything from the shop, we say the shopkeeper give us 1 kg of sugar, 1 kg of flour, 1 kg of anything. It means there is no need of direction. When we talk about temperature, there is no need of direction. We say only about the temperature magnitude, just like 27 degrees centigrade, 30 degrees centigrade. Only we talk about the magnitude. Magnitude means number and unit. Okay, now it's not clear. What are the vector? What are the scalar? Vector mean quantities which are representing by magnitude and direction. Scalar mean quantities which are representing by only magnitude. There is no need of direction. Okay, here I wrote some example of the vector and scalar quantities. Clear?